Hey, what's going on, shipmate?
Oh yeah, shipmate.
Well, the word shipmate definitely pierces a lot of people. So I want to be a part of this.
Good evening, everybody. I am your host, Andrew Battaglia. Today I am joined with Chief Peavy, and today our topic is going to be shipmate. Every single sailor's heard it. We all have positive and negative connotations for it, and hopefully we'll have some guests that will join in with us at some point during this conversation. Oh, I got somebody.
Who that?
I have no idea who this is. Harry.
Harry Vargas, a cryptologic technician, networks, first
CTN.
class officer.
Harry
Bartholomew Vargas.
I believe this will be our first CTN on the show. And joining us right now is CTR1 Vargas. Welcome, shipmate. Welcome to our show.
Hi. So correction there, it's actually CTN1 Vargas.
Oh.
But that's okay though. Yes. I'm happy to be part of the show and happy to be part of this topic that we are about to engage in.
Welcome aboard. We appreciate you taking time out of your commute home to participate in this conversation. So, how long have you been in the Navy?
I have been in 15 years now.
Okay, so you got a few more years than I do, and Chief, I think you're close to retirement, right?
No, I'm around that. I'm around all of y'all.
Okay.
Or both of y'all, better yet.
So right now we're sitting at about at least, I'd say, 45 years worth of naval experience. We've all heard the term shipmate. We've used the term shipmate in many cases.
Before we get into that, I just want to kind of paint the picture for anyone watching. I just kind of want to get into real quick Petty Officer Vargas's background, where he's come from, in stepping up to this whole discussion that we're about to have. So if you don't mind, Petty Officer Vargas, if you could just, kind of give us your bio, your naval career so far.
Absolutely. No, I don't mind. Appreciate you bringing that up. So I actually enlisted back in 2004, August 30, 2004. So I am hitting up on that anniversary here very, very soon. As a machinist mate, though, as an MM, a fireman, pretty much. My first duty station was the USS Kitty Hawk, which is an aircraft carrier. Conventional aircraft carrier. It was the last conventional aircraft carrier in Yokosuka, Japan. And then after spending 3.5 years there, I walked across the pier to the Blue Ridge, LCC 19, as a machinist mate still. And it was then and there that I realized that I hated my life as a machinist mate. I hated working in an environment to where it was 110 degrees and then 99 degrees under the quote-unquote ventilation. So I walked into the command career counselor's office and I told them, look, I don't care what job you get me, just cross-rate me to a job that has AC in it. I don't care what job it is. I just want a job with AC. So you mentioned the word CTN, and I was like, well, does it have AC? He's like, oh, it has more than that. You have your office, you have a desk, you have a phone, you have your computer. And I said, say no more. I would do whatever it takes to convert to make sure that I cross-rate CTN. So we did the paperwork. Became a CTN. My first CTN command was Nyack, Maryland, and then I walked across the street. I know it seems like I walk across the pier, walk across the street an awful lot, to Fleet Cyber Command, Commander 10th Fleet at the time. And then from there I came here to Nyack, Hawaii, and now here I am.
Okay, so you did. You said 3.5 years on one ship. How long on the other ship?
4 years on the USS Blue Ridge.
Okay, so that puts you at 7.5 years. You probably didn't spend much time in MMA school.
Nope, 2 months.
Okay, so we'll say 8 years, and then you went to Maryland, and then now you're here, and that puts you all at 15 years.
Correct.
Okay, all right. How much left do you have at your current command?
I have till November 16th here, and then off to San Diego for 553 CPT.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so you have a couple months left, and then doing some cool stuff over in the West Coast. What are your goals for during your naval career? What do you intend on doing? You intend on doing 20, 25, 30 years? What's up?
So that's a good question, because when I was a machinist mate, during my first tour, I told myself I'm only doing 4 years and then I'm getting out. Then I met my wife on my, I was just about to hit my 4-year mark. I met my wife. We got married, and I told myself, all right, I'll do an extra tour and then I'm getting out. I told my wife that. She's like, all right, absolutely. That's fine with me. Do whatever you want to do as long as you have a plan. So towards the end of that second tour, I was like, well, let me cross right to the CTN world, and then I'll do one tour as a CTN, and then I'll get out. So it seems like every time I was telling myself I'll get out after this tour, but never happened. Now here I'm at 15 years, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm definitely staying in to at least 20 years. But I told myself, and I told my wife, I'm not doing any more days beyond 20 years. Then my wife and I had a short conversation not too long ago, and I came to realization that there are certain things in the Navy that I would like to change if I can. But in order to do so, I have to be in a certain leadership position, and I have to changes takes a while, so I have to be in the Navy longer. So I told myself, after much reflection, that I would actually like to retire as a senior chief and do as much time as possible in the military, in the Navy, to help make the changes that I would like to see to make the Navy better.
Now, is it cool if we get into the changes?
That might be a better a topic for a better time, a discussion for a better time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened?
But I don't mind talking about it, and later on in another podcast. Then.
Yeah, sure. Hey, we'd be glad to have you again as a panelist again. So if you made senior chief before 20 and made those changes, what do you do at 20? Or are you just kind of riding it out?
Absolutely not. I will continue to go on and make sure that try to make sure that those changes remain in effect. Because a lot of times I see that, changes are made, changes happen, and then a few months, a year later, they're gone. They don't stay in place.
Hey,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt, Chief, but I'd like to introduce my brother, DCC Battaglia, who has finally deigned it important to join our show. Welcome, James.
Hello, how y'all doing?
What's going on, Chief?
Hi.
Another day. Yeah, y'all, you're a chief, and you're a chief as well.
Chief Peavy is.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, cool. So everyone can call me James except for old Andrew over there.
Welcome aboard. Glad to have you on the channel, on the podcast.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's the first one I've got to be part of so far.
So did your brother mention anything to you about the topic?
I think he said shipmate is the topic.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, we were interrogating Petty Officer Vargas, Harry Vargas, before you came in. So we haven't exactly gotten to it. We're just talking about his background a little bit. I'm trying to kind of paint a picture for our guests to find out, because little birdie told me that Petty Officer Vargas didn't like the term shipmate, and I hear that a lot. And
Oh, I love the term shipmate. I honestly say it probably 15, 20 times a day.
I wonder why.
So
Love it.
what we've learned from Petty Officer Vargas is that he started off humble beginnings as a machinist mate.
All right.
And he spent about 7.5 years out to sea before he found air conditioning.
Yes.
So I'm kind of trying to paint the picture myself, and I wonder, is this term shipmate that may or may not have a stigma in Petty Officer Vargas's mind? Is that something that came from the engineering field, or his humble beginnings, the first 8 years of his career, or where'd it come from?
Gotcha. And when I first came in, I hated that term. It was always used in like a negative context. And when they started trying to call everyone Sea Warrior, I was like, hell no, that's not happening. So I went back to Shipmate, and my goal was to make it a positive term. So, I mean, anyone I see in the P-Way, I call them Shipmate, morning Shipmate, whether they like it or not. I think it's a good thing, If you don't use it in that negative context, I think it's good. That's where you have shipwreck for, But there's I think it does have a bad stereotype that goes to it, though. It was used in negative context a lot.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that I get it. I get where it could be derogatory. I get that. Just a slight change in tone or gesture while you're saying it is everything. It depends on that. Depends on a lot of things. It depends on who it's coming from.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. I personally don't think my shipmates are as bad as other shipmates,
yeah.
right? Because like you, I use it a lot, right? But I would like to put more praise into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Personally speaking, but I certainly don't mean for it to come off as a bad thing when I use it.
Yeah.
There's other terms.
Yes.
Right? So.
Yeah, because kind of the way I see it, we're all in the same BS together all the time, day in, day out, the same struggles most of the time at work. So we're in it together. So Shipmate just, I don't know, I like it.
James, where are you at now? You're in San Diego?
Yes.
Which command?
I'm on the USS Portland, LPD 27.
Okay.
I've been there about 3 years now.
Okay. How much longer do you have?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
That means we'll be picking orders right around the same time for once.
Yeah. So they'll send us opposite sides again.
Yeah. I mean, they could send you to Japan.
Tomorrow's August 14th, so tomorrow's my 12-year mark.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty excited for it. And finally wear gold.
But I think we gave Petty Officer Vargas enough time to take a break and think about the term shipmate. So where are you coming from, shipmate? Petty Officer Vargas. What's your beef again?
I definitely didn't need time to think. I've already thought about this long and hard. I knew this day and this time was coming. So you're right. Yes. So the word shipmate, the negative way, I took it negatively during my machinist mate years. Down there in the pit, we've said a lot of words to each other that you will never ever hear in our community now. And actually, you may never even hear in the Navy period anymore, because it's a whole different Navy. But the second you hear the word shipmate, or that we heard the word shipmate, no matter who you were, it was always from a higher ranking down to a lower ranking person. And it was never ever a pleasant time or a pleasant next 10 minutes. It never was. You never heard the word shipmate going from a junior sailor to a senior sailor. It was always from a senior sailor to a junior sailor. And so, and once again, like it was just in a derogative, in a very in a tone that caught everybody's attention and was like, "Woo! I hope he's not addressing me," kind of thing. So that's where the word shipmate originated from for me. In this community, however, though, it's different. The community that I'm in right now, it's different. Yes, I hear the word shipmate here and there once in a while from individuals. But when I hear it, though, it strikes me differently from everybody else because it just takes me back to those days. So I'm like, whoa, like, is that the person really addressing me like that? Because like we can go to the fan room and take care of it, I'm not scared of that. And then I have to rethink. I'm like, wait, nope, I'm not back there. I'm not back there anymore. I'm in a new community. I'm in a different Navy. So they're probably meaning the word shipmate differently from back then. And of course they do. Which you're a perfect example of that, Chief Peavy, because you love to use the word shipmate to everybody, and you don't use it in a derogative meaning, and you don't express it in a tone that people feel threatened by. So that's where Shipmate to me stemmed from, and that's where Shipmate is. That's where I am with the word Shipmate now.
All right. Do you think sailors in our current community view that term differently from sailors on ships? Because, you guys know, and James, you may know, the sailors in our community may never see a ship.
Yeah.
Do you think it just has a different meaning altogether, that it's always going to be derogatory for the sailors in our community, for the most part?
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I was gonna say, if you got someone on a community that's never gonna be on a ship, it almost sounds weird saying shipmate at that point, because they've never seen a ship, and I don't know what the struggle's like for a rate that never sees a ship very often. I don't know if they're in the grind together, but I think it'd be weird. I know when I was at RTC, I called people shoremate because people said I couldn't call them shipmate there. But I don't know. I definitely want to hear his input on that, being someone from that community now and seeing the engineering side of it, and now on that side.
So my input on this is, and this is just my input from what I've seen, what I've experienced, is that our community is very, very, very sensitive compared to the communities and the environment on a ship. But once again, like I said, like the Navy's different now, right? So like even on a ship, the way I grew up on a ship, the way I was exposed to a ship is completely different from ship life now. And the reason I say that is because I just talked to a friend not too long ago who's still machinist mate, who's still in the Navy and who's still on ships. He even said himself that back then it's completely different from what it is now, and that there are certain things that we said and did back then that you can't do nowadays, even on a ship. So our community, the CTN community, the Intel community, is very, very sensitive, and it's a completely different Navy from ship life. So the word shipmate for us, for the Intel community, it's to me, I see it sounds like it's more threatening than people take it more threatening than a person on a ship would, because they've never been called that before, and to them they've only heard from other people that it's derogative.
Gotcha.
Cool. So I took the plunge and I was a little brave, and I decided to check Urban Dictionary's definition of shipmate. I'm not going to say what they said on there because it's just there's just so many horrible things that people say on there. We can imagine what they say on there, but the general context is pretty negative, at least on Urban Dictionary. I'm not going to read the Navy definition of shipmate because we already know that, and we teach our sailors even at boot camp that shipmate is supposed to be a good thing. So, but I did notice a Navy Times article, which I'll have a link to that in the description below, that goes into shipmate and devil dog, patronizing or terms of endearment. That if you're on the fence about it, just feel free to read it. I haven't finished reading it yet, but there's sides on both sides. Go ahead, James.
You mentioned the boot camp aspect of it, where shipmate's a positive thing at boot camp. But I remember as soon as I got to A school, it was like tribal knowledge that was passed down that shipmate is a negative thing. So it's like boot camp, they instill that it's a good thing. And as soon as I crossed the street over to A school, everyone's like, never call me shipmate. And that's kind of where that idea started. Even before I got to a ship, I had already learned shipmate's a bad thing.
It might be one of them things where it's suggested that you just drop everything you just learned, because where you're at right now is the real deal. Maybe that's where it started.
Yeah.
So I actually have an example and experience with the word shipmate from going from a junior sailor to a senior sailor. So my first year as a CTN, I got a lot of counseling chits, an awful lot of counseling chits, because it took me a while to figure out that the things that we did and said on the ship as a machinist mate, you cannot do in this community. So I got counseled an awful lot, which is great. I was learning, and I was like, all right, I'll take it. Sure. I get it. I'm in a different community now. Well, I had the cojones one time to actually call, and this is me as a third class, okay, to call a senior chief a shipmate, because I was like, well, why not? I mean, everybody's saying the word shipmate here, and they're the quote unquote claiming it to be a positive thing. Let me call someone else a shipmate and see how that goes. And I did. And that senior chief immediately turned around and said, "Excuse me?" And I knew right then and there, I was like, okay, it is not okay for a junior sailor to call us a senior sailor shipmate.
What was that, like 7 years ago? 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah, about 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, in this community, in the Intel community.
Chief, I think I've called you shipmate a couple times, just in general conversation, because you always call me that every time you pass my desk.
How did I react?
Reacted normal. The way you are now. Pretty normal. It's normal conversation for you, because that's how you talk to everybody.
Yeah, it seems like I bring it up in most of the conversations we have for with the Navy, but Pedro Vargas, what you experienced could very well just be a product of ego. It's just how it is sometimes. We gotta get through our own mind's filter, right, to get to the treasure of things. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. So, since we're talking about shipmate, and well, in the term shipmate, there is ship. And I believe, all four of us have been on or are currently on a ship. Do you feel that all sailors can benefit from being a part of ship's crew, given the opportunity?
James kind of lives a different life than we do, so I think he might have a different opinion.
Do I think all sailors could benefit from it? I think the camaraderie that you build on a ship is much more than in a building. Absolutely. But even being on a ship, there's so many sailors trying to get off of the ship that could care less. So do I think they have the potential? Yes. Do I think all of them want to benefit from it? No. That's kind of how I see that one.
So my take on it is, I think that it can make you or break you. Because once again, like I said, within our community, we're very sensitive. So ship life is completely different from this shore life this shore luxury life that we live. So I think, and I'll agree with Chief there, that it depends on the personality, your characteristic, and if you really, really wanted to benefit from it, it's a choice. But I've heard way too many sailors in our community that have said, "Oh, I don't ever want to go on a ship." And I'm like, well, then you probably should have been a CTN, not a CTR. Sorry, you're going to eventually get on a ship.
Both Sorola and Davis are going to experience that life very shortly. I think next year.
Yes.
So, but I think I call them shipmate at least once a week, just to get them inoculated to it, because I don't say anything negative to them. But even then, I like James's idea of just calling them shipwreck. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's probably a frowned upon term. You shouldn't. I wouldn't incorporate that one into your vocabulary.
I've always had a vaster vocabulary than you, anyway.
But it's funny to kind of go back to the shipmate aspect of it. So you had a bad experience as a junior sailor calling a senior chief shipmate. And up until recently, I had a CTT3 working for me. And I call him shipmate all the time. He's a real hard worker. And it was probably about a month ago now. I said, "Good morning, shipmate," to him. And he responded with, "Good morning, shipmate." And it was the first time a junior sailor had said shipmate back to me. And it threw me off guard, honestly. I wasn't expecting it. No one had done it yet. But it kind of made me smile on the inside. I was like, oh, man, he's taken to it, just that little bit. Even there was a little sarcasm behind it. I felt like it was moving in the right direction. So I thought that was kind of cool. Two different interactions that way.
Shout out to that
I would
CTT3.
love to see the word. Right? Yeah, exactly. The cojones that he has. But yeah, I would love to see that word be flipped around and be used more positive as opposed to a negative manner.
Definitely. Because we even had one of the senior chiefs. He transferred a little while ago. But he'd call anybody shipmate. He didn't care if it was in the chief's mess. He didn't care if it was out on the mess decks. He's calling everybody shipmate. He was kind of on the positive reinforcement side of it as well before he'd left. So, kind of cool.
Yeah, we not to change the subject, but I'm surprised. I was pretty surprised at how many sailors at my current command actually are looking forward to going to the ship. Just to put that out there. I don't often run into sailors. I do run into sailors who are like, no, I definitely don't want to go on a ship. There's a lot, especially CTRs. So feels good. It feels good knowing that. I started my career on a ship, on an Iwo Jima, and was operational for the first 8 years of my career. So it's nice. It's nice to know. Okay.
Perfect. So I just want to say one more thing before I head out and leave. I would actually like to challenge everybody that watches this to call a senior sailor shipmate. See what happens. Tell us about your experience. Maybe we can do another podcast later on, a month from now, to where you are on here telling us your experience.
I'm going for Master Chief Joseph. That's going to be awesome.
Hey, I would add to that. Just just be conscious of your tone and how you carry yourself when you say it.
Well,
maybe shipmate, maybe a little different than hey shipmate.
Maybe pick the nicer chief in the ship.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Master Chief Joseph will absolutely love it if I call him shipmate.
Call a warrant officer that, okay?
Officer Nearbauer will actually love that too. I know a couple warrant officers that love being called shipmate.
Yes, exactly.
So, anyways, James, you got any last word before we go?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all letting me on here. It's pretty cool. Terrified to see the video when it's done, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, Chief, you got any last word before we go?
James, it was nice meeting you. Petty Officer Vargas. James, thank you again for being very, very last minute panelist. Petty Officer Vargas actually is on his way home right now.
Oh, nice.
So commendable of you to do this with us. And Petty Officer Battaglia, as always, thanks again for the opportunity to contribute.
Thank you for watching this episode of What the Navy. Today's topic was shipmate. So please like, subscribe, hit that notification button. And if you want to be on the show, email us, leave a comment, and we'll be happy to have you. Thanks for watching.